We had a client that we worked with, and she was really struggling with profitability. She kept raising tuition. She actually did 3 tuition increases within a 15-month cycle, and she still could not catch up. So I helped her work with our 6 money leaks in schools, and she only used 3 of the 6 money leaks and cut her expenses by 50%. 50. She did not fire anyone. She did not slash any of her programs, and she did not work more hours. Again, the 6 money leaks are not hacks or spreadsheets. These are patterns. They are small decisions that feel so normal that your school does, but they quietly drain your school's profit. So if you've ever wondered why you're working so hard, but still not seeing the return, this is your first step to clarity. Click the link in the show notes and find out what it's actually costing you. Welcome to the Schools of Excellence podcast, where we transform everyday leadership struggles into powerful legacies that impact generations. I'm your host, Khani Wilshansky, a 20-year veteran of school leadership who has helped hundreds of school leaders achieve what many thought was impossible through our signature programs, School Leadership HQ and Enrollment Engine. With our battle-tested frameworks and blueprints, leaders have achieved 90% parent retention, 50% less staff turnover, 15% improved profit margins, and increased enrollment by 25%. My mission is simple: to revolutionize school leadership by elevating the skills, the habits, and mindset of passionate leaders ready to create lasting change. Join me as we build your legacy of excellence, one transformative conversation at a time. Welcome back to the Schools of Excellence podcast. Today we're talking about the 4 silent saboteurs of enrollment: first impressions, trust, confidence, and follow through. So I know you've seen this again and again and again, where parents love your school, they tour, they seem excited about your program, they say all the right things, and then they go somewhere else, right? And so today we're decoding the silent signs that you're sending your families that's making them go enroll in other schools. And I'm going to walk you through how to fix them. So first silent saboteur, the first sign is the first impression gap. The first impression gap happens way earlier than you think. So when parents finally reach out to your school, the decision-making process actually started way long before they actually even reached out. In fact, research shows that parents make their initial judgment about your school within the first 3 minutes of interaction with your school. 3 minutes. So let me share something that just happened a couple weeks ago. Okay, I was working with a school director who could not figure out why their inquiry to tour ratio was really low, right? They had a beautiful facility, great programs, competitive rates, but I listened to how their front desk was handling inquiry calls. So the parent would call and say, "I'm interested in your pre-K program." Okay. And so the person at the front desk would say, "Our pre-K program is $1,200 a month. Would you like to schedule a tour?" Okay. So it kind of seems okay, like they're direct, they're professional, they're helpful. But here's what the parent actually hears when you say that. "We care about money first and your child second. Our pre-K program is $1,200 a month. Would you like to schedule a tour?" Another common one that happens is the parent will say, "What makes your school different?" And then the person at the front desk or the person who's running the tour will say, "Well, we have a great curriculum and amazing teachers." And everyone has a great curriculum and amazing teachers, right? And so what that signals to your parents is you're just like everyone else. So if you're just like everyone else, then I'm just going to do the race to the bottom of who's the cheapest, right? And so the first 3 minutes, parents are looking for the subtle signs that you understand them, their challenge, their needs, their parenting journey, right? So let's talk about another angle, right? Let's talk about your response time. You might think that taking a day to get back to a parent is acceptable. You're busy, they're busy, everyone understands each other. In today's world, every hour you wait is an hour that they're talking to other schools. So parents interpret your response time as an indicator of how responsive you'll be when their child is in your care. So this is exactly why you must have profit messaging in your school. It's not just about what to say, it's about how you demonstrate value in every single interaction, starting from the very first moment of them reaching out. And when you implement proper profit messaging with schools, your enrollment will increase. Same staff, same program, same rates. just a completely different way of communicating value, right? And this is what's so important to understand when it comes to these silent killers. And I'm actually going to be talking about this in great depth inside of our Enrollment Engine program. What is the second silent sign that is hurting your enrollment? The trust signals. Okay. So a mom came in to tour and she was asking a lot of questions about the curriculum, like very detailed questions. She was saying things like, what reading program do you use? How often do you assess? What approach do you have to phonics? Now, what happens a lot is school leaders think, oh, wow, this is a parent who really cares about their child's education and their literacy. But here's what's actually happening. Okay. This mom is actually trying to determine if her child, who was actually struggling with reading in a different school, would get the support he needed. But she never actually said it, right? Because she's not going to want to label her child or admit her concerns. So she just peppers you with all of these questions. And this happens so much, right? Parents will ask questions about your schedule, right? Like, when are you open? When are you closed? When are you this? When are you? And then you answer every single question. But when a parent is asking a lot of questions about schedule, what they're actually worried about is juggling work demands. When they ask you about your rates and asking about pricing, what they're really asking is, are you worth the sacrifice that I will have to make to get my child here every single day? Right? When they ask about your teacher retention, what they're really asking is, will my child be emotionally secure here? Okay. And let's talk about the biggest hidden message, right? And this is like, oh my gosh, well, think about it. In the 20 years, okay, in the 2 decades that I have been working with schools, never have I ever met a parent who actually meant that they would think about it. They're not thinking about it. What they're really saying is, I have a concern that I'm not comfortable sharing with you in this moment. I didn't hear what I needed to hear yet. I'm comparing other schools and I don't know how to evaluate or discern which one is the best for my child. They're not going to think about it. They're actually thinking a lot of other things. So when a parent comes and asks like 3 questions about your playground schedule or your playground, instead of just answering every single question, you can pause and say, it seems that outdoor time is really important to your family. Can you tell me more about that? And this actually happened in a school that we were working with. And it was really interesting because the parent actually told the director, she said, you know, in the school that my child's coming from, they actually shortened playground time for academics. And my child became really anxious and very stressed because of it. And so I want to know, what's your playground schedule? Now, here's the thing. Once the director knew that, now she can address the actual concern, not about like, how tall is your slide or how many bikes do you have outside? She doesn't care how many bikes there are outside. That's the question she's using to mask her concern of, will my child be able to play outside? And now the director was able to actually communicate like their commitment to balancing the education, the curriculum, and the space for play for healthy development. This is so important when it comes to trust signals. And it's a science, it's an art, but it is teachable. And I think that's so important to understand when you hear me communicating these silent signs that sometimes can sabotage enrollment. You need to understand like all hope is not lost. Like this is 100% teachable and trainable. And we teach all of this inside of Enrollment Engine. And it's important for us to understand like, oh my gosh, like we are dealing with this inside of our center. Let's go to silent sign number 3, the confidence gap. This one is really fascinating because it actually has nothing to do with your program quality, and it actually has everything to do with how you communicate your program quality. So this will happen so often. You'll have 2 schools in the same neighborhood, very similar programs, very like similar competitively, and a family tours both schools. And the first school that they tour is a little bit cheaper, has a little bit more features, and they even have a newer facility. But the family doesn't enroll in that school. And here's why. The parent comes into the school and they ask the school, what's your approach to kindergarten readiness? So in the first school that is cheaper and has more features and a newer facility, the person who's responding to the tour says, well, we really try to incorporate all of these different things that really help them get ready for kindergarten. And, let me actually check our curriculum guide, and then they pull out the curriculum guide. In the second school, that's more expensive, has less features, and doesn't even have as newer a facility. When the parent says, what's your approach to kindergarten readiness? the person who's doing the tour says, our kindergarten readiness program focuses on 3 key areas: academic foundations, social emotional skills, and learning independence. Would you like me to show you how we implement this in our pre-K curriculum? Come, let me show you. Same question, totally different energy, totally different result. Because what a parent picks up on is not what you say, it's how confidently you can communicate it. When you say, let me check, let me see, I'm not sure, we try, we usually, we did, blah, blah. It sends subtle signs of uncertainty, which causes so much anxiety in a parent, especially a first-time parent who's just like, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm so confused, I don't understand, whatever it is. Like, they are begging for your certainty and confidence, and they are wanting to be in that presence. And you can learn confidence. You can learn how to articulate things more clearly. You can learn how to speak with conviction. This is not a born skill of just like, oh, well, she was just born that way. She could just speak so confidently. I'll never forget, I was doing a training. This is, oh my gosh, almost a decade ago at this point. I was doing training for staff to prep them for parent conferences. And there was a teacher, and she was really insecure to speak in front of families. She was very, very good with the kids, very insecure in front of the families. And so the owner had brought me in to do some training with her and a couple of other teachers to build their confidence to speak with families. So I was going over different skills on like how to stand and how to sit and facial expressions and how to respond and all of these different things. And she was like, this is just so unfair because like, you're just such a natural. And I'll never forget that moment because I literally put my papers down. And I turned my body to angle to her. And I said, and I held her hands, actually, I took her hands like onto me. And I said, my dear, there is no such a thing as you were born with this, or this is your talent. No, every single thing that you want to have is a skill that you can learn. Creativity is a skill. Confidence is a skill. Awkwardness, you can be a recovering awkward person. You can actually learn how to not be socially awkward and how to not be uncomfortable when you walk into a room. There are signals, there are tools and resources that you can learn to learn all of these things, all of them. And I said, the notion that you're communicating to me is what you're telling me is, this is too hard. And so I'm just going to say, you're talented and therefore I can't do this. As opposed to saying, this is difficult. I need to work a little bit harder to learn these skills. And I said, I was not born learning how to have difficult conversations with parents. This is a skill that I've learned over time. And actually, what I'm doing right now for you guys is what someone did for me. I actually worked with an NYU child psychologist and specialist who worked inside of the school that I was teaching in. And I had to lead an extremely difficult conversation with both of the parents were there and the child's therapist. And there was like a lawyer that was also involved because the parents were divorced and they were all coming to the parent conference. And I had to lead this conference because I was the main teacher. And the child was about 2.5 or 3 years old at that point. And I had Dana, who was the child psychologist, train me on how to lead this conference. And for those of you that know me, you've heard me say this story so many times before. She literally sat me in front of a full-length mirror and had me practice every single word that I wanted to say at that conference. And during my practice sessions and role-playing, she stopped me and said, look at your eyebrows. Look at your mouth. Look at the way you tilted your head. Look at how you just folded your arms. Look at how you just folded your legs. Look at how you just shifted your body language. You got uncomfortable and awkward, so your body signaled that. Let's try that again. Try that again. And through practice and practice and practice, I learned how to not feel awkward and uncomfortable when I had to say certain things. It is a learned skill to not be awkward in certain situations. Think about anything when it comes to awkwardness, right? Like I remember the first time I went when I was pregnant with my first, and I went for my first visit to my OB to get treatment with Mendel. Oh my God, I was so uncomfortable. I felt so awkward. I was just like, oh my God, what the hell is going on here? 4 kids later, yeah, I'm totally fine walking into an OB's office. 15 years married, all of that. So where did the awkwardness go? Well, experience, time, understanding, where slowly over time, certain things just naturally go away and certain things are awkward and uncomfortable because you just haven't developed that confidence in it. And so you have to learn that. You have to learn that. And so when directors and owners come to me and they're like, but the teacher's uncomfortable this, the teacher's uncomfortable. I'm like, you can teach her how to not be awkward. It's a skill. It's an actual skill, how to be more confident and how to signal that confidence and that exude that charisma. Absolutely, that's learnable. So I'll give you just some more examples here, right? So at the front desk, right, you'll have a parent ask, what's the pricing? And the person at the front desk will say, let me check my current pricing. Or a parent will ask about schedule flexibility. And the teacher will say, I think sometimes we allow that. Or the parent will ask about security protocol. And the assistant will say, I should probably let my director explain that. Every single time you don't speak with that level of confidence, the parent hears, this team does not know their program. And so you need to understand this is not about having perfect answers, ever. It's about having confident ones. And when you train the same uncertain team in what I call confidence triggers, specific phrases, specific responses that convey certainty, your enrollment will go up. And I teach this all inside of Enrollment Engine. Let's go to silent sign number 4, the last sign, the follow-through factor. So the follow-through factor, and this one's like so heartbreaking because it happens after you've done everything right and you've given the perfect tour and the parent has fallen in love with your program and then there isn't follow-up, right? There just isn't follow-up. Or the follow-up is generic. So this will happen also, right? A parent will tell her school, they'll get a generic thank you for touring email the next day, right? This automated response that goes out. They tour a different school, and in the follow-up, the school sends a personalized note referencing specific things that the child got excited about during the tour, right? Including a photo of the classroom where their child would be and had the teacher send a quick welcome video. And by the way, all of these scripts of like referencing things, all of those things, we have templates for all the personalized scripts inside of our profit pipeline under the lead management part of our curriculum where I literally created phone scripts, email scripts, text message scripts. And then there's like a plug and play where you can get personalized with what you saw at the tour so that you can follow up with the family properly and your conversion rate will dramatically increase for that family. So here's what parents are actually doing after they tour the school, right? They're replaying moments from the tour in their mind and they are looking for red flags. That is human nature. They are trying to remember all the important details that you shared. They're second guessing their initial excitement. This happens all the time. We second guess our initial excitement and they're comparing you to other schools. So while they're doing all of this internal processing, schools make a fatal mistake. They give parents space to decide. Meanwhile, other schools are actively nurturing that initial connection into an enrollment decision. This is not about choking the person. This is about understanding how to properly nurture someone after they came into your world. And so your thing of like, I don't want to be pushy. I want to give them space. I'm not asking you to choke people. And I'm not telling you to do that. And I'm not telling you to like, oh my God, don't be on top of them. No. There is a difference between choking and being on top of them and creating a natural nurture follow-up. And it can be taught. There are templates for that. It is 100% teachable. And I teach this all inside of Enrollment Engine. When you can watch a school's numbers transform by literally changing these little things in the enrollment process from taking a generic thank you email to actually start doing perfect fit confirmations, which is a personalized message that outlines why that family is a perfect fit for your school based on what the parents shared during the tour, what their child saw, all of that, your conversion rates will dramatically increase, right? I'm going to show you how to read a response to silent signs, build trust signals into every parent interaction, create a unified enrollment message across your team, and turn parent objections and hesitations into enrollment decisions. All of these things are inside of our curriculum of Enrollment Engine. A thing to remember most importantly about these 4 silent saboteurs, every single one of them is fixable. Every single one of them. Looking forward to welcoming you. If you are loving the Schools of Excellence podcast and have gotten any value out of it for your school, I would love if you can do 2 things for me. 1, subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. And 2, can you please leave us a review? Reviews help other school leaders know that this is the place to learn how to build a school of excellence. And I would be so grateful if you can do that for us. Your help and support makes this show to be able to be listened by the thousands of other school leaders all around the world. Thanks so much for listening, for giving us your time and attention each and every week. And I appreciate that you have joined us. If your accountant has ever told you to cut back on professional development or slash your teacher appreciation budget or your staff development budget just so you could stay afloat, or has told you, hey, you probably can't go invest in that program, please listen. The problem is not that you're spending too much money on your people or yourself or your investment or your support system. It's that your school has invisible money leaks that are draining your profit, leaks that no spreadsheet will ever catch or accountant. So I created the 6 money leaks of schools that show you the 6 core areas that schools lose money every single month without realizing it. If you close even one of them, your profits will start to soar without sacrificing your team. Go get it now and stop blaming the things that are actually building your school.